As a 28-year-old woman, I found myself entangled in a distressing situation involving my 26-year-old sister and my 29-year-old boyfriend. With my sister's wedding just days away, I began noticing her increasingly odd behavior around my boyfriend. At first, it was subtle, small gestures that left me uneasy. She'd compliment him excessively, saying things like, "You're hilarious," even when his jokes weren't particularly clever. Her laughter was overly enthusiastic, ringing out at every comment he made. Initially, I brushed it off, thinking her wedding excitement might be making her overly friendly. But as time passed, her actions grew more concerning. She found excuses to touch him, a hand on his shoulder during a chat or a light brush as she passed by. I also caught her gazing at him when she thought no one was watching, her eyes lingering too long. It made my stomach twist with unease. One night, after a family dinner where her flirtations were particularly noticeable, I confronted my boyfriend. "Did you see how Sarah acted tonight?" I asked. He looked puzzled and responded, "What are you talking about?" I described her excessive laughter, the casual touches, and those lingering stares. He listened but then shrugged, saying, "You're reading too much into it. She's just caught up in the wedding buzz. It's nothing." Despite his words, my gut told me something was wrong. The situation didn't feel nothing to me. Determined to trust my instincts, I started watching her closely, hoping I was mistaken. But over the next few weeks, the tension grew. Whenever we were around Sarah, she always found a way to be near my boyfriend. She'd sit beside him at every opportunity and ask for his help with wedding tasks, even when I was right there. During a family barbecue at my parents' house, I stepped inside briefly. When I returned, my heart sank. Sarah and my boyfriend were in a corner of the yard, standing far too close, her laughter ringing out as they spoke. The moment they saw me, they stepped apart quickly, and Sarah walked away as if nothing had happened. I held back my anger to avoid a scene but confronted my boyfriend later that night. "What were you and Sarah talking about?" I asked, trying to stay calm. He seemed taken aback and said they were discussing wedding details, like the playlist. Unsatisfied, I pressed him on why they needed to stand so close for such a mundane conversation. He sighed, frustrated, and insisted I was imagining things. "She's just being friendly," he said. I couldn't hold back anymore and told him her behavior felt like blatant flirting, and his failure to set boundaries hurt me. He looked wounded, asking what I expected him to do. After all, she was my sister, and he was just being polite. I suggested he make it clear he wasn't interested in anything beyond friendliness, but he insisted there was no issue to address. Our argument went nowhere, leaving us both upset and unresolved as we went to bed. The next day, I knew I had to confront Sarah. Ignoring the issue was only making things worse. I called her and suggested we meet for coffee. She agreed cheerfully, seemingly oblivious to my concerns. At the cafe, she was bubbly, rambling about her wedding plans while I sat nervously, my hands shaking as I stirred my drink. Finally, I interrupted her, saying we needed to talk about something serious. Her face shifted from surprise to confusion as I explained how her behavior with my boyfriend, her flirting, touching, and long glances, was making me uncomfortable and needed to stop. Her expression turned to anger. "What are you even talking about?" she snapped, denying any flirting. I stood my ground, explaining that her actions were inappropriate and causing me distress. She laughed, a sharp, forced sound, and called me absurd, insisting my boyfriend was like family, and she was just being friendly. The conversation grew heated. I told her it was more than friendliness. She was constantly near him, touching him, laughing too hard at his jokes. Her face flushed with outrage, and she accused me of being insecure. "This isn't about insecurity," I said. "It's about respect." She stood abruptly, her chair scraping the floor, and declared she wouldn't listen to my paranoid nonsense. If I couldn't trust her, she said that was my problem. She stormed out, leaving me alone, questioning if I'd overreacted. When I got home, I told my boyfriend about the confrontation. His face grew concerned, and he said I'd made a mistake, worrying that Sarah would be hurt so close to her wedding. Defensive, I asked if he was siding with her. He denied it, but doubted she'd been flirting and thought my direct approach was too harsh. Tears welled up as I asked, "So I should have just ignored it?" He hugged me, suggesting I could have discussed it with him first or approached Sarah more gently. He worried her anger would make the wedding awkward for everyone. I pulled away, asking if this was my fault. He clarified that he didn't blame me entirely, but thought my emotions had clouded my judgment. Our argument fizzled out, unresolved, and he went to bed, leaving me with my doubts. The days that followed were tense. Sarah stopped speaking to me, and my parents, noticing her distress, called to ask why she was upset. I explained, but they thought I'd overreacted. As a bridesmaid, I felt trapped in a role I wasn't sure Sarah even wanted me to fill anymore. My boyfriend, still invited, suggested we attend the wedding to show no hard feelings. But the thought of watching Sarah walk down the aisle while she was so angry made me sick. I tried calling her, leaving voicemails apologizing and suggesting we talk, but she never responded. I even visited her apartment, but she shut the door in my face. My anxiety grew as the wedding neared, and despite my boyfriend's insistence that it would blow over, I wasn't convinced. A nightmare of arriving at the wedding to judgmental stares woke me in a cold sweat. Things worsened after my confrontation with Sarah. She told our mother, who called me, furious. "How could you accuse your sister of something so awful right before her wedding?" she yelled, dismissing my attempts to explain. The family tension was unbearable. Sarah still ignored me, my parents were upset, and my boyfriend kept insisting I was overblowing things, which only deepened my frustration and sadness. A week before the wedding, I went to my parents' house to try to resolve things. As I approached the door, I heard hushed voices from the side of the house. Curious, I walked to the garden and froze. Behind a large shrub, Sarah and my boyfriend were locked in a passionate embrace, kissing intensely. Her legs were wrapped around his waist, his hand under her shirt. They were so engrossed they didn't notice me. My stomach dropped, and I couldn't breathe. Then, rage and betrayal surged through me. "What the hell is this?" I screamed, my voice shaking. They jumped apart, their guilty faces confirming everything. Sarah paled, and my boyfriend stammered, "It's not what you think." But it was exactly what I thought. Tears streamed down my face as I choked out, "How could you?" "My sister and my boyfriend." Sarah sobbed, apologizing, saying, "We didn't mean for this to happen." But I couldn't listen. The betrayal cut too deep. I turned and ran to my car, ignoring their calls to come back, and drove off, my mind reeling. My phone buzzed relentlessly, calls from my boyfriend Sarah, then my mom. But I couldn't answer. At home, I felt numb. I packed a bag with essentials and texted my boyfriend, "We're done. Don't contact me." Then I turned off my phone and checked into a hotel in a nearby city, unsure of my next steps. With the wedding days away, I knew I couldn't attend. My relationship was over, my bond with Sarah likely broken forever, and my world felt shattered. Everyone had made me feel crazy for suspecting something, but I was right. The pain of that truth was almost unbearable, and I wondered how I'd ever trust again. After the shock of catching Sarah with my now ex-boyfriend, I spent days in a haze, ignoring calls and messages from them and my parents. The hurt was too raw. Eventually, I realized Sarah's fiancé, Mark, deserved to know. With a heavy heart, I called him. He sounded confused, saying Sarah was a mess and that I'd disappeared. I told him everything, my initial suspicions, how everyone dismissed them, and the scene in the garden. He listened silently, only making small sounds to show he was still there. When I finished, there was a long pause. In a calm voice, he thanked me and said he needed time to process. Then he hung up. As the wedding approached, I heard nothing from Mark or my family. Sarah stopped contacting me, and I feared she'd convince Mark to forgive her. The thought of her getting her perfect wedding while my life was in ruins made me ill. I decided not to attend, choosing instead to focus on rebuilding my life. On the wedding night, my cousin Emma called, her voice buzzing with shock. "You won't believe what happened," she said. She described the scene. Sarah looked radiant, and Mark stood at the altar. But during the vows, Mark stepped forward and announced he couldn't marry her. In front of everyone, he said he couldn't wed someone who'd betrayed her sister by getting involved with her boyfriend. Sarah paled, and Mark apologized to my parents, explaining why I distanced myself. Guests whispered, Sarah sobbed, and my parents were stunned. Mark walked out, leaving Sarah alone at the altar. "It was like a movie," Emma said. "Everyone's reeling. Your parents are trying to get answers from Sarah, but she's a wreck." Hearing this, I felt a mix of vindication and sorrow. The truth was out, but the cost was immense. My relationship with Sarah was broken, my romance with my ex was over, and my family was in chaos. Emma asked if I was okay. "I'm not sure," I admitted. I never wanted it to end like this. After hanging up, I sat in silence, processing. The truth was revealed, but healing and rebuilding trust would take time. For the first time, I felt a small sense of relief, free from the burden of hidden truths. I'm not sure what's next, but I know I'll need to face my family eventually. For now, I'm taking it one day at a time. This ordeal taught me to trust my instincts and stand up for myself, even when others doubt me. To those who supported me, thank you. Your encouragement means more than you know. And to anyone in a similar situation, trust your gut and don't let anyone gaslight you into doubting what you see. Thank you for watching my story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and press the bell icon. Stay tuned for more real-life stories, get more experiences.